Took my new girlfriend on a romantic getaway. She got drunk and admitted she cheated on her last serious partner at a Vegas festival. Now I'm questioning if I'm dating in a world where infidelity is just normal. I'm 40 now, and I've been dating someone, she's 41, for just over 7 months. This is my first real relationship since the collapse of my marriage, and in some ways, it feels like I'm still figuring out who I am in the aftermath of everything that's happened. For most of my adult life, I thought I had it all figured out. I married my college sweetheart. We were together for 17 years, and I genuinely believed we were building a life rooted in love, loyalty, and shared dreams. I thought we were on the same team. But in late 2022, she admitted she'd been having a long-term affair with a family friend, someone I trusted completely, someone who had sat at our table and laughed with me over beers. To say I didn't handle it well would be the understatement of the decade. My whole world imploded. I spiraled into a mix of disbelief, rage, humiliation, and grief. The only thing that kept me grounded, the only reason I didn't completely vanish into myself, was our daughter. We share custody 50-50, and she became my anchor in the storm. Without her, I'm not sure I would have even wanted to stay in the same zip code as my life. But what really blew my mind in that time period was how widespread this kind of betrayal was around me. Between 2022 and 2023, I found out that 5 of my closest friends were also being cheated on. It felt like everywhere I turned, there was another marriage or long-term relationship crumbling under the weight of infidelity. 3 of the people cheated on were guys. 2 were women. Some tried to fight through it and stay together. Others ended things immediately. And just to be clear, this wasn't some lockdown loneliness thing. My ex-wife's affair had been going on long before COVID ever entered the picture. When my marriage finally ended, I didn't wait long before jumping back into the dating scene. Maybe I should have, but sitting in the wreckage of my marriage felt unbearable. I met some incredible women, smart, funny, interesting, compassionate, but by the time you hit your 40s, everyone has some kind of baggage. And because I was still dragging my own heavy suitcase full of pain and distrust, I wasn't exactly in the best position to navigate theirs. Looking back, I walked away from a few women I probably should have given more of a chance to. And there were others I bolted from as fast as humanly possible once I saw red flags. I was running on instinct, still raw, still half-broken, and not really trusting my own judgment yet. After my last breakup, I decided I needed to stop. I took a few months for myself, time to reflect, to heal, to figure out what I wanted to be in this next chapter. I committed to self-improvement, reading more, exercising, spending intentional time with my daughter, and generally trying to rebuild a life I could feel proud of. It was during this time that one of the most gut-punching betrayals in my friendships came to light. There's this close friend of mine, someone who had been there for me constantly during the whole nightmare of my divorce. We'd known each other for 16 years. They were one of the few people I trusted enough to share the rawest, ugliest parts of my story with. They gave me advice, encouragement, and a listening ear when I needed it most. And then, one day, in the middle of a conversation that had nothing to do with cheating, they casually dropped, "Don't worry, I'm a piece of shit too. I cheated on my current partner a few times." I can't explain the feeling that washed over me. It was like the floor dropped out from under me. My first reaction was disbelief. I actually laughed because I thought they were joking. But they weren't. I was stunned, then angry, then deeply disappointed. I had spent the last 2 years cutting ties with friends who cheated on their spouses or partners. It was one of the few lines in the sand I had left after my marriage blew up. I don't condone cheating, and I don't keep cheaters close. I'd stuck to that, even when it meant losing people I'd known for decades. And now, I had to face the fact that the person I'd been leaning on the most was a serial cheater all along. Someone I trusted implicitly had been living a double life right under my nose. I felt cornered. My options were simple but brutal. Walk away like I had from everyone else who crossed that line. Bend my own moral rules to keep this person in my life. I wish I could say I stuck to my guns. I didn't. I chose to keep them in my life. And here's the thing, that choice still doesn't sit right with me. It's like I could feel my moral compass shifting in real time, and not in a way I liked. For my entire life, I'd operated under a certain code. Right was right, wrong was wrong, and betrayal was non-negotiable. But somewhere along the way, those hard lines started to blur. I've been watching my moral compass erode in slow motion. The strict code of honor and integrity I once clung to has been chipped away, little by little, as I've tried to rebuild my life after my marriage ended. It's a strange thing, when you're young, You think your values are unshakable, that you'll always know what's right, what's wrong, and where you stand. But lately, everything feels gray. I've caught myself looking the other way at things I never would have ignored before. I've accepted behaviors from people I would have once cut out of my life without hesitation. It hasn't all been bad. Some of these changes have come from learning nuance, empathy, and understanding that life isn't as black and white as I once believed. But the truth is, I can't tell if I've grown wiser, or if I've just gotten tired and compromised. Maybe it's both. Still, I've also built new boundaries, hard lines in places I never thought I'd need them. I've stopped accepting other behaviors I once tolerated. So the new me is still taking shape, and I'm not entirely sure I know who he is yet. Some days I like him. Other days I barely recognize him. It was at the start of this year, in the middle of this personal reconstruction project, that I met her. We started chatting online. At first, it was casual, just sharing a few laughs over music, TV shows, and some sarcastic takes on life. But it didn't take long before I realized we had more in common than just hobbies. We had both been gutted by betrayal. Her story mirrored mine in eerie ways. Her boyfriend at the time had been cheating on her, with someone in their friend group, no less. It was the same gut punch I knew too well, not only being betrayed by a partner, but realizing the person they cheated with had been sitting at the same table, smiling to your face. And the way she described her ex's behavior, his lies, his manipulations, it was like I was listening to my own story being told back to me, just with a different cast of characters. There's a strange comfort in that kind of shared pain. You don't have to explain certain things, they just get it. There's no need to justify your anger, your suspicion, your scars. She understood in a way that people who haven't been through it can't. And I think that's part of what drew us together so quickly. Early on, she admitted something to me. When she was in her early 20s, she cheated on a boyfriend. She didn't sugarcoat it, didn't try to excuse it, and told me she regretted it deeply. 20 years is a long time, and the person you are at 20 is rarely the person you are at 40. I looked at her now, her life, her responsibilities, the way she treats the people she cares about, and I decided I wasn't going to hold a decades-old mistake against her. We've all done things in our youth we wish we could take back. She has a few kids from her previous relationships, and I met them over time. They warmed up to me quickly, and my daughter, my sweet, fiercely protective daughter, actually loves them. That alone means a lot. Kids are often better judges of character than adults, and if my daughter felt comfortable around them, it told me something about the kind of home she was running. One thing I appreciated early on was that we didn't try to blend lives too fast. We both have our own houses, our own routines, our own responsibilities. There was no rushing into playing house or forcing our kids into some awkward pseudo-family dynamic before it felt right. We each had our space, but we also made plenty of time for each other. Our dates became something I genuinely looked forward to. Sometimes they were elaborate, dinners at nice restaurants, a show, or a weekend getaway. Other times they were simple, takeout and a movie at her place, or a quiet evening sitting on the back porch, talking about everything and nothing. She made me laugh, a deep, real laugh I hadn't felt in a long time. And when she looked at me, it felt like she actually saw me, not just the pieces of me I wanted to present. For the first time in years, I started to feel like maybe I could build something again. That maybe my heart wasn't permanently closed off. Sure, I was still cautious, still carrying my own wounds, but there was a spark of hope I hadn't felt since before my marriage collapsed. At the same time, I couldn't shake the awareness of how much my world had changed in just a couple of years. I'd been burned, lied to, and let down so many times that I didn't even know if I was seeing things clearly anymore. Was I learning to adapt and accept the messiness of real life, or was I just lowering my standards because I was lonely? I kept reminding myself that trust is a choice you make every day. And with her, I wanted to choose it. She seemed different. She had lived through the kind of heartbreak that rewires you, and I believed that gave her a deeper appreciation for loyalty. Last week, I decided to do something special for her. We've been talking about getting away for months, and I thought maybe a change of scenery, something outside of our usual routine, would be a good way to deepen what we already had. So, I booked a holiday, just the two of us. No kids, no work, no distractions. I thought it would be a chance to focus on each other. And for the most part, it was until one night when she drank a little too much and told me something I wasn't expecting to hear. It wasn't even in the middle of a fight or a serious talk, it just sort of slipped out. She admitted that a few years ago, when she was still with her last boyfriend, she cheated on him. Not an emotional slip-up or something complicated.
No.
She hooked up with some random guy she met at EDC, a music festival in Las Vegas. She wouldn't go into details, shut down completely when I asked, but she told me she lost a few friends over what happened. The relationship didn't end right away, though. They stayed together for another year after the festival, which means she lived with that secret for a long time, while still trying to work things out with him. I don't know whether she did it as revenge because he had cheated on her, or if she found out later that he had been unfaithful too. All I know is that they were trying to work through things at the time, and she decided she was going to have her fun in Vegas. That sentence, her fun, has been echoing in my head ever since. I've been trying to play it cool, but she's already noticed I've been different since she told me. The truth is, I've been spinning. My brain hasn't stopped replaying that conversation and pulling up every similar story I've heard over the last few years. It's made me think a lot about who I used to be before all this. Before my ex-wife's affair blew my life apart, before the domino effect of finding out friend after friend was either being cheated on or doing the cheating. Since separating from my wife, I've dated quite a few women. And every single one of them, without exception, has either been cheated on or has cheated themselves. Some of them more than once. Some in ways they still make excuses for. I've cut ties with almost all of my friends who cheated, and the ones who got cheated on, they've either become jaded or started tolerating things they never would have before. It's everywhere. It's normal. Too normal. And I hate that it's become that way in my head. When I was married, I lived in this very black and white world where cheating was one of the ultimate deal breakers. You either had integrity or you didn't. You were either trustworthy or you weren't. But now, years later, my view is so much more complicated, and I don't know if that's wisdom, or if it's just my standards wearing down from too much exposure to betrayal. The old me would have walked away immediately after hearing what she told me. No hesitation. No context. No, it was years ago. Just done. But the new me is tired. The new me knows that if I leave her, there's no guarantee I'll find someone else who hasn't done something similar. In fact, based on my recent track record, there's almost a 50-50 chance that whoever I meet next will have cheated on a past partner too. So here I am, stuck between two fears, the fear of staying and being hurt, and the fear of leaving and finding out I'm just going to end up right back here with someone else. I don't know if my hesitation means I'm becoming more understanding of human flaws, or if it's just me lowering my guards so much that I don't even know where my boundaries are anymore. She tells me she loves me. She's good with my daughter. We laugh together. We've made good memories. But now, I can't help but picture that night in Vegas every time she tells me she's going out with friends. I hate that my brain goes there, but it does. And the part that bothers me the most? She didn't tell me because she wanted to come clean. She told me because she was drunk. I can't stop wondering if there's more she hasn't told me, and if she would have ever told me anything at all if she'd stayed sober that night. I keep thinking about the old me, the man with rigid rules and an unshakable moral compass. That man would be disgusted at how much I've let slide since my marriage ended. But he's gone, and in his place is someone who's trying to survive in a dating world where cheating is just part of the landscape. How do I even begin to trust again when it feels like every path I take leads back to betrayal? Am I slowly compromising who I am just so I'm not alone? Am I being foolish to believe someone who's cheated before can truly change? Or am I punishing people for mistakes they made decades ago? When is it healthy acceptance of human flaws, and when is it me ignoring red flags I'll regret later? How do I keep my heart open without leaving it completely exposed to the same kind of pain that nearly destroyed me before? Is it possible to build something real with someone whose past I'm struggling to stomach? Or am I setting myself up for the same story with a different name? Should I be walking away before it's too late? Or will I just end up alone forever because almost everyone at my age has some kind of messy past? How do I know if I'm giving love a chance or just letting my boundaries dissolve until I don't even recognize myself anymore?